Welcome back to the Green Beans Go channel. It's your host, me, here for our Week 2 power rankings for all 32 NFL teams. I actually had a tremendous suggestion on my last video. Someone said you should do it by division instead of just alphabetical or random or however I've been doing it. And I think that is an actual solid idea. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to start with the AFC North, and we will start with the Ravens. Now, it has been alerted that Lamar Jackson is not practicing right now. He's hurt. He's day-to-day. I don't think that's going to have a massive impact on this team in the future. I know that the Week 1 loss does hurt, but I still think that this team is a comfy playoffs. I realize I had him in Super Bowl conversation last time, and I will slow down a little bit with that. So we'll put the Ravens in comfy playoffs. The Bengals certainly had the worst loss of Week 1, and I don't even think it's much of a debate. The Patriots, Jacoby Brissett came in to Cincinnati and won the game outright, and it wasn't particularly competitive or close. The Bengals looked awful. I still think that this team has far too much talent to be, in the category, right? Like, that is disrespectful for what they have on their roster. So I'm going to put them in Week 18 Warriors and say they're going to have to turn it around if they want to make the playoffs. The Steelers went into Atlanta and got a win without Russell Wilson. Justin Fields didn't, again, look fantastic, but he looked serviceable. And sometimes in the NFL, all you need is serviceable at the QB position to win some games. I have been outspoken about Atlanta all offseason. I think they're entirely overrated. I think their roster means nothing. I think we're not talking about Atlanta. We're talking about Pittsburgh. I don't think this win for Pittsburgh says as much about Pittsburgh as it does about Atlanta, is my point. And for that reason, I'm going to put him in the category just because I respect Mike Tomlin and I know that 6-11 would be insulting to him. The Browns looked pitiful. I think it says something about the Cowboys, the game this weekend, but it also says something about the Browns. I think their division's tough. I think their schedule is tough. And for the sake of erring on the side of caution, I will put the Browns in the category. But moving forward, I can definitely see a path for 6-11 if Deshaun Watson continues to play as he did on Sunday. The Cowboys are legit, and I've been trying to tell people that all offseason as well. I think this is a Dak MVP year. I think they finally have all the pieces correct. I think Tony Pollard leaving was a good thing. All of it is shaping up well for the Cowboys. They were an underdog this weekend, and they won by like 30. 20, okay? Again, I'll say that. I stressed to you guys on my picks video, this team should not be the underdog, okay? Something is not right, and dare I say, this is going to aggravate some people, but I'm going to do it early. I'm going to throw the Cowboys up here into Super Bowl conversation for the NFC, and I'm not saying they're my NFC pick to go to the Super Bowl right now, but I'm saying they definitely deserve to be in the conversation. The Eagles did have an impressive win against the Packers. Saquon Barkley looked like Saquon Barkley at Penn State, 3 touchdowns for him. Jalen Hurts just looked like Jalen Hurts. I'm worried that if this team has to come back from a deficit, they're going to struggle because Hurts still as a passer is not at a level that I think he is sometimes credited for. I do think, a wild card spot at the worst is likely a guarantee for this team, so I'm going to throw them in comfy playoffs, but I understand these two teams are battling for a guaranteed spot and then a wild card spot. The Giants wins the draft. Don't even need a discussion. Same thing for Washington, okay? I just don't think that either of these teams have what it takes to really win out. A lot of youth and a lot of Daniel Jones. We'll just put it like that. The Bills battled back. They were down to the Cardinals. It looked bad. It looked rough, but Josh Allen took over the game. Their defense stepped up when it mattered, and I think this is a Week 18 Warriors team. Again, their division is tough with the Dolphins, certainly, and possibly the Jets, although they didn't look great last night. So we'll throw them in Week 18 Warriors and understand that this division could be theirs, but it also could go to one or two other teams. Do we need to respect the Patriots? What was this weekend? Was this weekend about the Patriots being better than we thought, or about the Bengals being worse than we thought? I'm not sure, but it would be, I'm putting in the category. I'm sorry. This team might win more than 6 games this year. I think the coach is legit. I think Jacoby Brissett did what he needed to do. I do think they have pieces. I couldn't tell you 2 wide receivers on this team. Demario Douglas. I think they maybe drafted some, but they don't have names, but they got it done. And I'll put them up here for the respect. For the Miami Dolphins, I think this is also a Week 18 Warriors team, a team that played a tight game, which we didn't see a lot last year, a low-scoring tight game, I should say, against Jacksonville. So we'll put them in Week 18 Warriors. And the Jets, tough game last night. I don't think starting off in San Francisco is easy, but they kind of got a little bit of an underhand softball pitch with Christian McCaffrey being out. It didn't end up mattering, and they still lost by double digits. So alarming to me. I do think on paper this is a good team, but as we, on paper the Bengals are a good team, right? So it's just tough to really say how I feel about them, and I think I feel like they're in the category now. This was a team that was in Week 18 Warriors last week, but I think we have to knock them back down. The Packers do suffer a Jordan Love injury potentially for the next month or so, which I think hurts this team. They've already lost one, and their defense looked borderline pathetic against Philly. I would not be shocked. Again, this is a team that people were talking Super Bowl with. This was a team people were talking about guaranteed playoffs with. I'm going to say it right now. This team has to play the Lions twice, the Vikings twice, and the Bears twice. All these are in their division. They could lose, if this is 6 games total, they could lose 4 to 5 of these games. Truly, I believe so. So I'm going to put them at 6-11 right now, which may be my biggest upset placement of the video, and I'll accept it, guys. I think Jordan Love, I don't know what Malik Willis is going to be able to do over the next 4 weeks. They could drop the next 5 games. Truly, okay? Lions, Super Bowl conversation. I'm not changing from last week. I kept them there last week, and I realize this is 2 NFC teams, but this could be your NFC conference showdown. I truly believe that these 2 teams are crap. We have the 49ers. Crap! We have the 49ers looked darn good last night. Oh, man. I might throw them up there. Don't shoot the messenger. Vikings got to win against a team they should have beaten. So what does it say about them? I don't know. Is Sam Darnold him? Sam Darnold is probably not him. But this team is okay? Because I don't know. It's probably, don't overreact to a win against a team that's poor. I'm going to move them to 6-11. Obviously, I should not get too on my high horse about the Vikings because they beat the Giants, but Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, those guys looked good, and Sam Darnold might be more than serviceable. I'm putting him in the actually, okay? I think this team could compete with the Steelers in terms of trajectory. Sorry. Bears won the game somehow. There's no other way to say it. Caleb Williams had 86 yards. Their defense scored the points. Just a really bizarre game. So I'm going to take another kind of bold prediction here, and I'm going to put the Bears at 6-11. And again, I recognize that this may be too harsh, and that some of these teams may be able to be intermixed with this group, right? Like this is kind of a gray area category. But it's early in the season. It's week 2. I got to do what I got to do. Colts played a competitive game against the Houston Texans, a team that, again, people have talked about for Super Bowl aspirations. I think the Colts will do well to win 8 or 9 games. So I will put them in the category. I just think they're going to struggle. I think by week 15 we could be talking wild card, but I'm not going to put them in week 18 Warriors just yet. Titans lost an awful one to the Bears, and we're going to put them at 6-11 because that's a brutal way to go. The Houston Texans, I do believe, will win the AFC South, so that means they should be in comfy playoffs. I'm not ready to put them in Super Bowl yet. A little bit too tight of a game in Indy. Their defense did not look superb, so we'll slot them up there for comfy playoffs and keep an eye on their defense. Jacksonville, tough game against the Dolphins, and a game that could have gone their way, had a lead. They ended up blowing the lead, and I think the Jaguars are a better team than No, I don't. Put them in category and move on. All right, I think that's fair right now. Niners, I'm doing it. I hate myself for it. I don't like this. In fact, I'm actually grossed out by this. How are you going to have 3 NFC teams in the Super Bowl conversation? Because it's my video, all right? I think these obviously are your safest bets. I think they're your strongest teams. And right now, if I had to make a prediction, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. The 49ers probably looked the best, followed by the Cowboys, and then, the Lions, but also maybe the Cowboys looked the best. Seattle looked okay. Offense struggled in the first half, but their defense was sound. Last year, the biggest thing people were talking about was their defense. They ranked like 30th in the run, bottom half in the pass, maybe close to 30th in the pass. They bring in a McDonald to hopefully change that narrative, add some youth to the coaching realm. He's the youngest coach in the NFL, and he looked darn good in terms of what I kind of expect he did this offseason with that defense. It was at a point where Seattle's offense gave up more points to Denver than their defense did because they had two safeties in the first half. This team is a for me right now. They have a tough schedule, but I do think a wild card is something that could be, you know what? I'm going to do it. Call it a homer pick, guys. You're not going to offend me. I think Seattle could be a wild card shot. And if they continue, they get a little more rhythm on their offense and their defense continues to play as it did, I think we got a shot here. Cardinals, brutal loss for what they did in the first half. They look like they have some weapons again. If Kyler Murray stays healthy and then the like, I think they could be decent. And in fact, I'm going to put them in the category because of it. Same for the Rams, competed with the Lions. And I think they're better than the Cardinals and about the same as Seattle, so we're going to put them in Week 18. Warriors, and we'll move on to the AFC West. I'm sorry. I think Sean Payton is done as a coach. I think Bo Nix struggled mightily against Seattle, made poor decisions, was rushed a lot, just looked off. So I'm going to put the Broncos at wins the draft. I don't think they get to 6 games this year. I think the Chargers did what they needed to do, and I will give respect where it is due, so we'll put them in the category, but I don't want to talk about them. And the Raiders, I was high on the Raiders this year. I was very optimistic about Las Vegas, and I don't think a loss on the road to the Chargers determines their season, but I do think 6-11 is probably a fair assessment for this team. And finally, the Chiefs. That game Thursday, I don't want to say what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it. The Chiefs just get certain calls. And I'm not saying those calls determine the game. I'm not saying the Chiefs won that game because of the refs. I'm absolutely not making that assertion. Please understand that. But there are things that happen in that game that just make me go, do other teams get these calls? Patrick Mahomes got a few 15-yard penalties on just some ticky-tack, late hit out of bounds. And it's like, if Jared Goff gets hit like that, they're not throwing the flag, right? If Josh Allen gets hit like that, they're probably not throwing the flag. It's just the NFL, I think, knows the value of this team in terms of a money grab. And I know that's conspiracy theory. Like, I know that is, it could be bogus. You guys think it's bogus. I just think we watched it last year too. We watched the Chiefs get the benefit of the doubt more often than they did not because of who they are and what they mean to the National Football League. I know I may lose some people with that comment, and I accept that. That's just my analysis of it. We'll put them in comfy playoffs, though. I'm still holding out for Super Bowl. I want to see them a few more games. Panthers wins the draft. Falcons, again, I don't know if this team can take it off the paper, as I would say. They have it on paper. I just don't know if they can. I'm going to put them at 6-11. I know it's a bold prediction. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL, and like they're in one of the easier divisions of the NFL. But I think they could lose to the Saints twice. I think they could lose to the Bucks twice. They should beat the Panthers twice. But and 6 games, that's 2-4. Can they find 4 of the wins? Maybe. I just don't like this team. And Tampa Bay and the Saints, I think, are both going to compete for this division. I think they're the favorites to win it right now, in my assessment anyway. So I'm going to put the Panthers, sorry, not the Panthers, I've already put them there. I'm going to put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in comfy playoffs. I think they win the South. And I think their win over Washington was slightly more impressive due to how Baker Mayfield looked commanding that offense than was the Saints win over the Panthers. But I do think the Panthers have a wild card shot, certainly. So if we look at our whole list, okay, I realize this list is weird. We have 3 NFC teams in the Super Bowl. We don't have an AFC team up there. We have 3 AFC teams below them. And then we have 2 AFC teams also in comfy playoffs. Week 18 Warriors, we have some options, but I'm willing to move the Bengals out when I need to. Okay, that is a short leash they have there for Week 18. Warriors for the Bengals. All those other teams are wild card potential teams. And we have the category teams I'm just not sold on. Could certainly move up to wild card, but could also move down to 6-11. 6-11, I'm pretty sure right now, are on the outside looking in. which may be bold for teams like the Bears and the Packers and the Falcons, but I'm going to take a little risk there and wins the draft. I don't think shocks anybody. So thank you guys. We will do our full slate of picks tomorrow. You want to be early because I got a lot of closing line value. If you are a sports bettor on my picks Wednesday, a lot of lines moved in my favor, so that feels good. We'll share our totals, how we performed and everything on tomorrow on Wednesday. So thank you guys again for coming by, watching this little bit of a longer video, but we do this every week. So make sure you like and subscribe, baby. Drop a comment on your Super Bowl matchup if you had to make a prediction right now. We'll see you tomorrow.